Hey everyone, Gill Gross here, post-match. Holger Rune versus Francisco Cerundolo, Roland Garros 2023, round of 16. If you're not here for spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. Holger Rune had the craziest match of week 2 at the Australian Open last year against Andrei Rublev, lost it. This is now in pole position for the craziest match of week 2 in Paris. This time he wins it in 5 sets, a 5th set, 10-point tiebreak over Francisco Cerundolo to advance to the quarterfinals. I was not planning to do a post-match video on this. I am going to do Monday match analysis after play ends today. It's going to be massive. I'm going to bring on a guest. You guys are familiar with this guest. You like this guest. I'll keep it a surprise. We're going to predict all of the quarterfinal matches. Every single one of them. I'm going to give you some insights about the conditions. I'm going to tell you how I prepare for matches at the end. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great Monday match analysis. But I was watching this match and I'm like, okay, I gotta talk about this. So we're doing a post match, even though I wasn't planning on it. And let's pick things up in the third set. In the third set, it is Cerundolo serving at 1-2. A set apiece here. It is deuce, and Francisco hits this inside-out forehand approach. Rune is so deep in the court that the ball actually bounces twice, and on the short hop off the second bounce, Holger throws up this lob. It's this short, like, sitter lob, and Cerundolo saw that the ball bounced twice, and he ended up, while the ball was in midair, he starts talking like, double bounce, isn't that? I don't know exactly what he said, but he starts pleading for a not up call. And Cater Nuni in the chair ends up calling hindrance because Cerundolo starts talking in the middle of the point. Nuni didn't call not up. He thought that Rune got it before it bounced twice, which was clearly not the case. So it goes from what should have been add in, any way you slice it. Double bounce, it should have been add in. Sitter overhead on top of the net that Cerundolo would have put away anyway, should have been add in. It goes from that to not even replay the point. Hindrance, add out, and Rune breaks to start the, early on in this third set. Unbelievable turn of events. And, I mean, first and foremost here, we need video review for double bounces. We need video review for double bounces. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I mean, what's it going to take for that to be implemented? A lot of people destroying Holger here for not conceding the point. Certainly, it's no way to get brownie points. For Rune to I'm surely he knew it bounced twice. Fairly obvious by the spin of the ball. Fairly obvious if you are watching the ball carefully that it bounced twice. But my stance on this, and look, I'm not saying that I'm right. It's a totally subjective thing, to each their own. I know I'm in the minority here. And again, I'm not saying that you're wrong to feel how you feel if you are really kind of disappointed in Rune or highly critical of Rune for not conceding the point. I have the same stance on this all the time. If players concede points, I applaud them for their great sportsmanship. I applaud them. If they do not concede points off of chair umpire mistakes or officiating mistakes, I am hesitant to come down hard on them. And I don't know where that comes from for me. Just maybe it's because of my sensibilities across all other sports. I know that I'll use football. If you're dribbling in the box and you take a dive and the referee calls a penalty kick, is anybody expected to be like, hey, like, it actually wasn't a penalty. I just took a dive. I just tried to sell it. So, like, fair play here. Don't give me the PK. No, right? In baseball, when home plate is here and the catcher catches the ball off the plate, they literally frame the pitch to try to make it look like a strike. They try to engage in deception to try to get the umpire's call. So not only in other sports is it never expected of anybody that they try to make up for bad calls by the umpire that work in their favor. Not only is it not expected that they do that, they even actively try to deceive the officials to try to gain an advantage. And nobody ever expects the athletes in those sports to actually like concede an advantage that was handed to them by the officials. So in tennis, the culture of tennis suggests that you are, I guess, supposed to do that for good sportsmanship. But I tend to think in a high stakes match with prestige and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on the line, that it is really up to the officials to make fair calls, and really not up to players who maybe benefit from unfair calls to make up for that with their own sense of sportsmanship. At the same time, again, if they do that, I applaud them. That's my take on it. Look, again, not imposing my stance on you. If you think Holger is way out of line for not conceding the point, that's fine. It's just not how I feel about it. But at the end of the day, there needs to be video review. All right, so we move on. Cerundolo actually gets the break back in this third set. At 4-all, it starts to become clear that Rune is in some trouble physically, and he's just not really getting the better of the play as the third set goes on. And then at 4-all, there's even a break point at 30-40. And Rune in this 4-all game, interestingly enough, he just starts to serve and volley on almost every point to the Cerundolo backhand. So again, I think here he's getting tired. He's starting to feel his legs, and that's the play for him. It's just, I'm going to serve into Francisco's weaker wing, his backhand, and let's see if he makes good enough backhand returns to beat my serve and volley. And it turns out Francisco ends up just missing a lot of backhand returns with Rune coming in, and Holger holds there for 4-5, and then Rune breaks in the very next game to win the third set. But in the fourth set, it's Cerundolo jumping on Rune early, and Holger very quickly just going throwaway mode. Energy conservation, nuclear on the returns, nuclear off the ground, serve and volley, quick drop shots whenever the point is going long, bail out with the drop shot, throwaway set by Rune, easy set for Cerundolo. Holger's not fighting because he's too tired to fight. We have seen this many times this year. We saw this in the Monte Carlo final against Andrei Rublev in the second set. We saw this in the Munich final against Botic in the second set. And then we see it again here. What's the common theme? Well, in all cases, Rune has a lead. A deciding set beckons. And Holger, I think, in all these cases is feeling fatigued, and he does not want to risk trying to claw back into the set, expending energy to try to get back into this set, which he does not need to win. And that might put the deciding set, his gas tank for the deciding set, in serious jeopardy. So in all of these cases, Rune is, again, throwing away the set. So that's what happens in the fourth, and Cerundolo wins it 4-1. We go to the fifth. Let's go to 4-all. I mean, I think in this case, it's something that I guess I talked about in the Vilch match against, am I going to forget who he was playing already? Oh, yeah, Nishioka, where if you're going to point shorten and play super aggressive, it's one thing doing it on serve. If you're talented enough, you can get away with doing it on serve. It's a whole nother thing doing it on return. And it was a pretty serve-dominant fifth set up until 4-all. Just because I think Rune was, serving well, good early aggression behind his serve, had enough in the tank for his service games to, play rallies when he needed to. But on return games, he wasn't able to really do the running that he needs to do. And I also thought his returning was pretty poor. So anyway, it's 4-all in the third set. All right, let's rejoin the action here. And Rune goes down love 40 with gifts. He just plays some terrible points, makes some terrible mistakes. Again, like implementing a pretty high-risk style with the point shortening because he really doesn't have his legs at this point, which was really the concern coming into this tournament. I said it over and over again. I have a lot of confidence in every aspect of Holger Rune's game, except as soon as somebody pushes him and brings him into the trenches physically, Holger doesn't really have the legs to win Roland Garros. That's what I've said from the start, and this was another confirmation of that. So Rune goes down love 40, and now it's like, okay, I'm staring down the barrel of death in this match. I am looking at getting broken. Cerundolo's going to serve this out at 5-4, and I'm going to lose the match. And he flips the switch. We've talked about this so much. Holger Rune stylistically can just like flip switches just like that and play completely different based on the situation. And in this case, it's like love 40. Okay, I'm going to make Cerundolo at least win this last point. So he goes into Gilles Simon mode, you know, full, patient, passive, no miss, willing to do the work with the legs. And Cerundolo folds like a lawn chair here. He makes a backhand unforced error at love 40. He makes a backhand slice unforced error at 15-40. He makes a forehand attack unforced error at 30-40. And now it's deuce. He totally kind of gets nervous here with the finish line in sight. And Rune holds serve. So look, I guess like good on Holger for having that mentality of it's like, I'm just going to kind of feed him backhands when I can and make him beat me. And let's see if he can do it in a really high pressure situation. And that works really well, especially when you can defend well enough where it's not like if Cerundolo finds one good attacking ball that it's going to be enough for him to win the point. It's going to require, you know, 2 or 3, if not 3 or 4. And he just couldn't hold his nerve well enough to do that. Okay, next game, you could kind of feel this coming. I'm in a group chat and I said like, watch him win 6-4 here. Watch him win the 5th set 6-4. Because he breaks in this next game. You know, Cerundolo, real shock to the system, having love 40 and not breaking serve. And at this point, again, it's late enough in the set where Rune really can dig in with his legs, knowing that he's not going to have to go that much longer. And you can see him just willing to work the point. He gets some errors. First of all, there's this really tight, at 15-all, there's this really tight Cerundolo forehand drop shot that he nets. Now it's 15-30. Next 2 points, I think Rune makes a good adjustment on the return of serve. He stands in. And Cerundolo just doesn't serve big enough to make Rune pay for standing in. So Rune hits kind of aggressive returns into big targets and rushes the Cerundolo backhand. And this is a play that Holger's going to execute, I think, several times down the stretch of this match. And it's going to be very, very effective because Francisco just made some backhand errors getting rushed off of Rune's return. So he draws an error that way. I think kind of mid-rally, he draws another error just with pace into big targets through the middle. Cerundolo trying to redirect. He breaks for 5-4, and now Rune serves for the match after getting those errors off of hitting pace through the middle. A break that you could really see coming. Rune serving for the match. On the first point, Rune came up with some miracle defense. First point of 5-4. Miracle defense. Unbelievable. Like, Cerundolo won the point 3 or 4 times. Total steal by Rune. Eventually an unforced error in the midcourt by Cerundolo. But I do think that did kind of sap Rune's energy. I think he did hit a wall. Even though it was kind of the finish line, he was 3 points away from winning the match. I do think that point took a ton out of him. He got a bailout drop shot unforced error on the next point. That got it to 15-all. Super routine backhand unforced error at 15-all. That got it to 15-30. Service winner to 30-all. And then some really passive groundies at 30-all. And Cerundolo hammers a forehand winner. So again, like, that's the one thing that you can't do. It's one thing being passive into Cerundolo's backhand. It's another thing being passive, dropping the ball right in the middle of the court into Cerundolo's forehand. That's where, if you go to the forehand, you got to bring some quality. If you go to the backhand, maybe not, but this is just like, all right, come on, that's not really a winning play at 30-all. And then Cerundolo stays tough on the break point, stays very solid on the backhand, and Rune makes a backhand unforced error. So credit to Francisco on that point, just doing what he couldn't do in the previous game, which is just be a rock on that backhand. Don't allow Rune to just get super passive into the backhand side and, you know, allow that to be enough. Ask more of Holger there. Cerundolo holds for 6-5. Nice backhand down the line winner at 40-30. Just seems like Rune at this point completely relying on Cerundolo's backhand to collapse. That's the plan. Is that a great plan? I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's continue. Rune with a super easy hold at 5-6. Nice serve and volley at 15-love. Backhand half volley winner. Just a breezy hold. Something that Rune can do and Cerundolo can't. Is hit some big serves, execute some serve and volleys, maybe some +1 winners. It wasn't really happening for him on the forehand, but actually on the backhand, sometimes it was, and just kind of race through a service game. You can't do it every time. It's not going to happen every time, but you can do it sometimes if you're Rune. Cerundolo doesn't really have that. All right, 10-point tiebreak. Atrocious returning by Rune. Missed a couple of second serve returns, just netting the backhands. It just felt like that was going to maybe cost Rune early on in the 10-point tiebreak. It's just that he wasn't making returns. But he also did enough good things here, especially behind his serve, to stay in it. You know, hit some service winners. Hit this, he was down 5-3, and he hit this stretch forehand return, full stretch on the forehand. And he just put it in this really kind of short and awkward spot for Cerundolo's backhand, where it looked like a bad unforced error for Cerundolo, but like I feel like Francisco just is going to miss that shot all the time, where he's hitting it from a low contact point around the service line, and he has to hit an approach here, and he's not that comfortable as a volleyer. It was like the Berrettini miss against Murray at the Australian Open. Not because it was match point, it wasn't, but because it's like, yeah, that's a bad miss, but are we surprised? I wasn't. So then it's 4-5, back on serve. Rune with a smart net approach to draw a backhand error on a pass. Again, it's a serve +1 approach. So you can see like Rune kind of making up for the missed returns by getting to net on service points and making some plays there. And that's really important for him to do. At 5-all, Cerundolo hits this awesome forehand cross-court return to force an error. Just an absolute beauty. And I thought at that point, like, is that going to be the shot? Is that going to be the difference maker? I thought maybe it would be at 5-all there for the mini break. But then very next point, Rune takes the return early, goes to Cerundolo's backhand error. Backhand goes long because it was rushed off of the aggressive Rune serve. So there's the play again. There was another serve and volley for Rune at 6-7, where he comes in, hits this backhand half volley deep. Cerundolo hits the backhand pass right through the middle, and Rune shanks the volley, but it's a drop volley for a winner. A little bit lucky there. Now it's 7-all. Cerundolo makes a forehand unforced error. It doesn't miss by much. It only misses by a little bit, but it's a really bad miss. It's 7-all, and Cerundolo misses his best shot just wide. And at this point, now Rune can really kind of, again, he can push with his legs because he knows there's not much left here. That, you know, he basically has to get through the next 4 minutes and then it'll be over, if that. So 7-8. Again, Rune returned to the backhand. Cerundolo backhand unforced error wide. Remember earlier, I'm like, Rune kind of relying on Cerundolo's backhand to collapse here. Is that enough? Is that a good play? I don't know. I mean, he gets a miss at 6-5. He gets a miss at 7-8. Down the stretch in this super tiebreak, just first ball backhand. So, yeah, like Cerundolo's backhand, there were moments where it was solid enough, but not at the end of the tiebreak. It was not solid enough. You know, there were 2 misses here that really shouldn't have happened. And then 7-9, you know, Rune with some nice running here and really nice backhand defense, super deep in the court. Cerundolo, forehand error, trying to take it inside in, but the Rune depth really forced the error here. And that's it. 10-7, Rune wins the tiebreak. Classic Holger match. You know, legs were dwindling, but he could pick his spots to D up and find some success in those spots. Like when it was, I'm down love 40, or it's 7-all in the super tiebreak. In these moments, in these specific moments, maybe part of that is because he threw away the 4th set. He could D up. He could stay consistent, and he could get some unforced errors out of Cerundolo going into lockdown mode, especially when he got it to the backhand. Rune, no unforced errors from, let's see when his last unforced error was in the 10-point tiebreak. Low backhand. I think it was at 4-3 on a second serve return. You know, Rune just burying a backhand return, unforced error into the net. I think it was 4-3. I mean, there were several errors from Cerundolo from that point, and Rune didn't make a single mistake. So that was there for him, but also the point shortening and the serve and volleying and the aggressive returning, that he had the ability to bring that. I don't think it's his best tennis. I don't think it's his best game, but he can get away with it. And the fact that he can get away with it, particularly the net rushing, like the frequent net rushing that he was using as his main point shortening tactic, because he really couldn't go big on the forehand, or like he could not go big off the ground here. It was not there for him. He was tight. He wasn't feeling the ground strokes. His way of point shortening was really getting to the net. But he can do it. Like, he can make it happen. He has the skills at least to do it. So the plan B for Rune, as a result of the fatigue, and we've seen this year at many times, it's a viable plan. It does not kill him. That's big. And that's how he gets through the match. He said, you know, he made a little bit of a mental adjustment, just trying to relax and enjoy more than he was able to at the Australian Open when he played Rublev. I don't know if that really means anything. I don't know if he's just saying that because he ended up winning the match, but something to kind of take into account. At the same time, Rune has had a really easy path to this match. Really easy. And still, his gas tank hits empty, like, end of the 3rd set here. So I think 2 things can be true. Like, one, Rune has a really amazing ability to kind of come through these matches despite not having the amount, you know, the energy or the physicality that would make it a lot easier on him. At the same time, these concerns about the fitness, they still very, very much exist for Rune moving forward. We'll get into the quarterfinal against Rude on Monday Match Analysis later, so I'll talk to you then. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.